Yeah, I had a great positive experience. I was 11 years old, living in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I had a great coach for a young guy to start football, and so it was a very positive experience. His name was Roger Meeks, and he was just a dad in the community, and he was a great first coach for any young guy starting up in youth football.
When you look back on all the coaches you've had growing up and playing sports, what type of impact did they have on you, not just as a person, but as an athlete too?
Well, I think, again, that's why I became a coach. There was such a great influence, that early experience. I was very blessed to be around great coaches when I played, and then even being associated with great coaches even when I got into coaching. So, it's been a great plus for my life, and I know it can be for many young guys growing up.
I mean, you're obviously a great role model. You have great character. How can coaches teach those great values to kids that they're working with?
Well, I think just the game itself, the game of football is pretty much a bout of life, so, the highs and lows, how to deal with adversity, how to deal with prosperity. I think that's why it's such a great game.
How do you build those special connections with kids so they look back years from now and go, wow, I had a great time with that coach playing so-and-so?
Well, I think, again, you're teaching. And, as a coach, you're not just teaching the X's and O's of whatever sport you coach, and in this case, football. You're teaching them, how to deal with life, how to be a better man, how to be a better human being.
There's so many different personalities coaches deal with. How do you figure out how to motivate kids and what works and what doesn't?
Again, that's all the art of coaching and human relationships. I think identifying that and, knowing how you can push that button or that button, that's the art of being a good coach.
Not every kid has the same role on the team. Some get more attention than others, but how do you make all the kids feel a part of the whole experience?
Well, just that everybody has to know their role, and all those roles are really important. Whether it's the right guard on punt team, and maybe they don't get a spot on offense or defense, but how important that is in the to the team cause.
How do you help kids embrace the whole concept of working hard and achieving goals and understanding that there's going to be setbacks, and that's part of the whole challenge of getting better?
Well, I think it's, you teach them how to be successful. Sometimes it might not be just winning and losing. It's how to get better every day. And, when you can kind of convince guys that doing stuff for something bigger than themselves, all right, the sky's the limit. And most of your guys that really, really succeed get that. It's for the guy next to you. It's for somebody bigger than yourself.
Obviously, you're not going to win every game. Kids take losses hard. How do you help kids not dwell on a mistake or a bad game so it ruins the whole experience?
I think, I try to go with the formula, events plus your response equals the outcome. So how you respond to everything, will have a bearing on the eventual outcome.
Kids show up at practices, sometimes they're sluggish, they're not into it. How do you create enthusiasm and motivation to make it a productive day so it doesn't go to waste?
Well, I think it's, getting better every day. The concept of, being above the line every day, regardless of what your emotion is that day or how you feel, all right, but being an above the line performer every day, and it's difficult, all right, but using that as the motivational tool, really every meeting, every day they come to work.
Kids can be sensitive, their confidence takes a hit when they make a mistake. How can coaches correct techniques but not do it in a way that it hurts the kids' psyche?
Yeah, I think that's key to the coach or the teacher is, how you present it. And, you're in a performance-based business, all right, we're looking for this, performance. When they fall short, just continue to encourage them and get better at it and actually teach them, not just yell at them.
How do you teach good sportsmanship to kids?
Respect. I think respect for the game, respect for your opponent, respect for everybody on your team. Everybody's different, but the concept of respect.
If you're talking to a group of dads going out to coach youth football for the first time, what would be the message you'd want them to take with them as they work with children?
Just be a teacher. It's not don't go overboard on the machoism of the game. I think. Sometimes some frustrated ex-athletes are not maybe as good as maybe a father who actually understands, raising kids. I was blessed that I had a bunch of dads coach me and my children, so was fortunate from that aspect. But being compassionate, be a teacher, not a screamer and a holler.
You're a great leader. What are some qualities that make a good leader so when dads are out there on the field with 30 kids that they're a good leader with those kids?
Again, back to the teaching concept, I remind my coaches that this is somebody's son, all right, and, treat these young athletes like they're your own. I think sometimes that keeps you in your wheelhouse. That's helpful. As far as players and leading, again, it's not just good enough for you to do it right. It's bring somebody with you. All right, and then I think guys learn the concept of leadership early on.
How important is body language when you're working with kids at practice and in games?
It's big, and some guys, everybody has different personalities, and is awareness. As you have to have self-awareness, and sometimes that needs to be taught as well as any other skill in the game. So, some guys have it naturally. Some of you have to draw it out.
That's awesome. Last question I was going to ask you: would you be interested in doing a quick 5-second into the camera? Thank you, coaches, for the great work you're doing with kids, kind of thing.
Yep. Hey, coaches. Thanks for all you're doing out there, helping these young athletes become better players and better men. Appreciate your efforts to keep up the good work.
Awesome. Thank you.